This video is brought to you by SimpliSafe. More about them later in the video. Welcome back everyone to the channel and to the mid-engine Eclipse build. A lot of exciting parts have shown up in the mail over the past couple of days. Full Mishimoto air-to-water intercooler kit, Quaife LSD, standalone Link ECU, a center force clutch, a head gasket, bunch of other stuff, and the new Corbeau seats for the car. God damn, do those look good. I think it's literally the perfect seat for this car. Black, red stitching, it's sick. And I've actually even got a whole bunch more parts back at the house. So this thing is shaping up to be a beast. In case you guys have forgotten, if you want to get entered for your chance to win this car in the giveaway, you can head down to powerjdm.com. Every $1 spent there on car parts or merch will get you one entry. Now I do have a little bit of an update on the giveaway. Due to a couple of reasons, we are extending the giveaway 30 days. Said reasons are, for one, a lot of you guys were complaining that we were just gonna finish the car and give it away. And I didn't really want to do that either. So that extra amount of time will allow us to finish the car, have some fun with it, and to go with that, I'll be able to make sure that the car will be reliable for whoever wins it. Also, I was stressing a little bit about having to have the car done in like 20 days. So it's a win-win-win. You guys are gonna get some awesome content of it ripping. Whoever wins it is gonna get a much more reliable car, a more tested car, and I'm gonna have more time to build it, so it's just gonna turn out better. The ultimate goal for today is to get the motor in the car and mount it. Now, in order to do that, we have to do a couple of things. Firstly, we have to finish the top hat mounts. I got a full sheet of 1/8" steel, so I can finish that. Secondly, we have to get the motor put back together. The head has to go to the machine shop, get machined, we gotta get it back. Once that's done, then we can put the engine in and then we can start making the mounts. Without any further ado, let's get to it. Well, I got the top hats tacked in and I went ahead and just loosely put the rear suspension together, and I'm so proud of this. This is by far the coolest thing I've ever built. I mean, I'm so happy with it. It's beautiful to see Matteo's geometry in person. Like, it's so cool that he gave me numbers. I made things happen and it looks exactly like the graphs looked. The wheel is perfectly centered in the wheel well. It's so freaking awesome. It's great when these moments happen during a build, when you're like, wow, it's actually gonna happen. It's actually gonna work. Unfortunately, the machine shop's just gonna take too long, but thankfully we have a ruined block and a ruined head. So we're gonna go ahead and put together a dummy motor, just something that we can use for test fitting, and then we'll go ahead and test fit it. Who needs an engine hoist when you've got pure muscle and no regard for your back? Cast iron block with a crankshaft still in it. Not light. This is not exactly what I had in mind when I decided to clean the motor and power wash it. bad. Well guys, the engine is in place and somewhat mounted. The awesome thing about using a modified factory subframe is that we could use the factory little front bar and then 2 of the factory motor mounts. So the motor is already kind of mounted in place. We just have to make 2 new mounts, 1 for the transmission back there, probably going into the main bar, and then 1 for the front of the engine going up to the strut tower bar. I got really lucky with the placement of the main bars and the strut towers. Everything fits, but it's tight. I mean, there's a finger gap between this main bar and the transmission here. And I think I am gonna have to notch that strut tower bar to fit the cam gear right there and the timing belt and whatnot. But man, I mean, look at all the room. Anyone who's saying that this thing is going to be harder to work on with the engine back here, I don't know what you're thinking. Everything is open, and there's even gonna be plenty of room to get to the turbo and such from underneath the car. So let's go ahead and work on building the mounts for the front and the back there. But first, let me take a minute to thank this video sponsor, SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe is the ultimate budget-friendly, convenient home security system and shop security system. Unlike other systems, it's super simple to set up your SimpliSafe security system through their website. And they've got sensors to cover every square inch of your property. I'm talking outdoor security cameras, which are high definition with a wide field of view. Indoor security cameras with the same thing. Wirelessly controlled smart locks, entry sensors for doors and windows. Another thing that's awesome is that when you get your system delivered to your door, it's super simple to set up. And then the thing that brings it all together and makes it awesome is that you can control the entire system through the SimpliSafe app. You can lock your door, you can turn on the alarm, turn off the alarm. It's given me so much peace of mind, both at my house and at my shop, knowing that all my belongings and my person is protected. So if you guys are interested, you can save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan, and you can get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/Gingium to learn more. I'll have a link in the description and up there in the cards. Huge thank you to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video. So ladies and gents, the engine is mounted. You know, we've got this factory mount here. We just made this very simple mount for the transmission, and then this slightly more complex mount for the, you know, the other side of the motor. The last thing to mount is the front of the stock little front forward, backward subframe bar thing. That houses the front motor mount, as you can tell. And then there's two little bushings right here. That is where that front of the brace bolts in. If you look, you can see that the factory frame rail ends like over there and right here. So we're going to build our mount for that front part there off the frame rail. I went ahead and bent up this tube, which welds to each of the frame rails. Then I put these two partial notches in, and then we'll kind of have this here with a washer welded to the top, and then we can put a bolt through it. This will do a great job at mounting that subframe brace, but it's also going to stiffen up the chassis because we're tying in the left and the right frame rail to each other, so that's pretty awesome. I think things are tacked in enough to go ahead and lift the car up with the engine inside of it just to see it. Because right now it's still being, you know, held up by the jack and all that kind of stuff, so. Well, it's super cool that the engine is being supported by the chassis right now, but it's time to go ahead and pull that sucker out. Well, the engine is out and the coilovers are out. Subframe is going to stay in for just 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and weld every possible seam I can reach, besides the one connecting the C-pillar bar to the frame rail bar and the main hoop to the roll cage boxes. And then we'll move the cage and weld up the top. Well, I welded up everything I could possibly reach. I'm gonna quickly tack a bar between the two strut towers just to make sure they don't move. And then we can break the tacks and push this cage forward. should be able to pull it forward like this until I can get it to drop down. Right there. Voila! So now I'm just gonna go through and brush off every seam, every weld, make sure that I didn't miss any spots. And if that is good, then we can put the cage back in. I did find one spot over by the driver's side motor mount that I missed, but that will actually be easier to weld once the cage is back up into the car. Now before we put the cage back into the car, we have to grind the paint off all the roof and the two, B pillars. Is that those things? Because we're gonna weld the firewall from the main hoop to the, the actual chassis of the car. And when the cage is back up here, I can't reach it with a wire brush. Well guys, that is that. The cage is all welded up to itself and it is fully welded to the car, including the boxes down there. That was kind of a pain in the butt. Always the worst part about a cage is welding the boxes to the car because it's just nasty metal and ugh. As you saw, I removed the subframe mount and the subframe. We got to finish welding up the subframe mount and we got to add some stuff to the subframe. But at this point, I'd say the chassis is about 80% done. And in the next video, we are gonna get that to 100% done. And that's going to require making a firewall, building some braces for the strut towers, including an X brace going across and a brace connecting it to the frame rail bar and stiffening up the frame rail bars a bit. After that, all of the chassis fabrication will be done. And I'll move on to putting the motor in, the transmission, all that stuff in, putting the new parts on all that, building the intercooler exhaust. So still lots of fabrication to do, but we're getting close to seeing this thing run. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please give it a like. If you didn't, please give it a dislike. Not like you can see that, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, if you want to enter for your chance to win the mid-engine Eclipse, please check out powerjdium.com below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, goodbye. And yet again, a huge thank you to SimpliSafe for sponsoring this video.